Hello, everybody. Bring this a little more forward. There we go. Oh, one thing missing. That's why it's a little dark. Here we go. Hope everybody's all right. Welcome to the Canada Day, 0 UTC. So it's UTC Canada Day, even though it's still not midnight in most of Canada. We're getting close. So this is going to be cool. Hope everybody will enjoy the show tonight. So the Canada Day contest is starting right now. So if you want to hear Canadian stations, especially the RAC stations, which are the Radio Amateurs of Canada suffix stations, these are the ones that you want to check out. So here it goes. If anything happens during the stream, let me know, because this is a totally new setup right now. So what has happened, that's why I'm looking up, actually. I'm looking at a screen which is over there. The mini PC streaming, which is going to be dedicated to only streaming, is over there. I've got, of course, this wireless keyboard to control everything. I got my laptop. Gaming laptop is going to be for searching the web for things that are online and whatever. Of course, here we have the SDR as usual. So this is another mini PC, but this one is new and it's very different. And I was unable, after like an hour of playing around, to drive the audio from it to the console. But that will come. I mean, what do you want to do? I will find a way to do it. That's for sure. So anyways, nice to have everybody here. Hope everything's all right. And, well, happy Canada Day in advance or not. UTC time is the official shortwave time. So this is going to be that. Let me just do a few things here. So that is okay here. That is all right over there. I want to check out something here. That's fine. We will do a little for 2 seconds, guys. So we have Canada. That's the sign. Here we go. Does this work? No, it didn't. I unplugged it. It doesn't matter for this for the moment, but at least the on the air sign is working. So hey everyone. Kind of a little hot here, but I know it's nothing compared to the British Columbia area where you guys have been like really, really going crazy. So it's nice to have everybody on board. Hope you enjoy and we'll enjoy the show today. So this is a basic setup for tonight, but we'll improve upon it with the next coming weeks. Got some bad news this week, so there's quite a few things I will need to actually move everything that is in this room because of something happening on Monday. So it's like I'm not the most happy guy in the world right now. A little tired, but anyways, because of things that are happening, it's gonna have to be that. So let me just do this. Okay, it's Canada Day. So one of the things I want to tell you that tonight, my drink, it's not champagne, but it's sparkling wine. So I got a bottle of sparkling wine, and this is what I have here. So cheers, everybody. Happy Canada Day. And, well, we'll be able to say it on Saturday, but happy 4th of July in advance for our U.S. friends. Cheers, guys. This is a Sumaro. If you want to have a really good sparkling wine, this is amazing from Spain. Okay, so Canada Day contest, and we can see that there's some traces here in the waterfall. And what I'm going to do, actually, I might not have the sound from there, but you know what, guys? I will have the sound coming out of a portable radio, like the Texan H501X. Of course, how can I forget that this thing will work? Let's put the volume on, see if it works fine. So here, that's the volume there. Okay, got no sound here. Oh, maybe it's the wrong cable then. Am I on the wrong cable? Let's check out what we have here. So this is for the antenna. Let me just check out this. For a little bit of audio. Line out. Line out. Anything from line out? There we go. We got a line out. So for example, if I look at 14165, 14, let's see it around here, 1416, so 14153. Check it out.
CQ RAC contest, CQ RAC contest, CQ Canada contest, Victor Alpha 6, Mike Alpha.
So here we are. This is the Canada Day contest.
Somebody way down there. Try it again. VA6MA.
VA6MA from Alberta on 14154.
Yeah, I can't pull you out of there. CQ contest.
So that's coming out of the H501X. This is pretty cool. Some contesting coming on now from Canada. If you guys want to, especially, we're going to talk about it in a few minutes, because I'm going to say hi to everybody, because now I'm digressing a little bit. Let me check something here. First of all, I like to have the time. So activate, and there we go. Okay. So hey everybody, welcome aboard. This is the shortwave show for technically North America is June 30th. June 30th, 2021. UTC time. We are at, of course, July 1st. It's Thursday for a lot of people, and July 1st is Canada Day. So, of course, we are celebrating Canada Day tonight. There's a Canada Day contest, so there's going to be a lot of ham stations on the air from Canada, and we're going to talk about that. So my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. We, of course, are here to talk about radio, have fun with radio, and hopefully everybody's going to enjoy the show tonight. So I got some sparkling wine. Cheers, everybody. Happy Canada Day, and let's hope we have a radio fun for the show. One of the things that is fantastic with this show is there's a, so I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. And of course, one of the fun things about this show is the fantastic people that are in the chat room. So if you have a Gmail account, why not join in? Say hi to everybody. This is a great place to be. People are cool. If you are starting and you just don't know where to go, what to do, well, here's the place for all of that, because this is the place where everybody is welcome, where everybody is going to be helping you out. It's like a great, amazing friendship of radio. And I think this is really, really cool to have this. It's not always easy to have a lot of people together, but that are really radio friends, basically, and want to help each other. So this is cool. And we have a Facebook group, which is as fun as this. And basically, the party continues there when it's over at in the live show. And basically, hopefully, everybody's going to enjoy the show tonight. And hey, why not join in and have fun on the Facebook group? Lots of really, really cool people. And, this is a place to have fun. And that's it. And let's keep it at that. Okay, so last week we had a week without shows. Lots of things happened. First of all, Wednesday was lots of work on the house day, and it prevented me from doing the show. And actually, what happened also is they arrived late. They should have arrived like in the morning, and there was a delay, arrived later, and I had forgotten that would happen also at the same time. So it's kind of complicated. And on Saturday, well, I'm fully vaccinated now. I had my second shot on Thursday. Felt like hell on Friday. Even though it wasn't as bad, I felt tired and didn't have a lot of energy on Saturday. So I thought, you know what? Let's take it easy. But now I'm back. Sorry. Now I'm back to normal, guys, which means I'm annoying. So cheers, everybody. And cheers to all the people fully vaccinated or to be soon fully vaccinated. This is, I think, a great thing. So anyways, shortwave, of course, talking about shortwave. I was trying to think about some videos this weekend. One of them was I wanted to do a series of videos where I would spend a full evening with my realistic DX100, which started all of this. Without it, I wouldn't be here. Honestly, I don't think without a realistic DX100, without that entry into basically the shortwave world, that I'd be here. It's something that you look at and you think about it today. Next year, most of next year is going to be 40 years I had that radio. It still works, actually. That's why I want to do some live, something special and something live next year. But also why I want to take it back out. And it's honestly a rather crappy radio when you look at it today, but it was my radio and it was what I had and it was what I loved. And I didn't know better also, that's also the other thing. When we know about the hobby and we know about radios, we can make a choice. When we don't know about anything, we just look at the store and say, oh, that looks cool. The problem is, that looks cool doesn't necessarily go with that is a great radio. But you know what? That was my radio. And I got home and I plugged it in, started reading the manual, and realizing that I could listen to the world on that, which I was not. It said that it was a world band radio, but I was not. I don't know what I was expecting, actually. I probably brought that home not really knowing what I was doing more than anything else, honestly. I didn't know what shortwave was. The radio just looked cool, so I thought this looks cool. And it said listen to the world. And okay, plug that in, and just with the telescopic that evening, I mean, propagation was perfect. I heard so many countries, and one of the first countries I remember hearing that evening is Israel. Call Israel had a evening broadcast to North America, believe it or not, back in 1982. And I continued listening that evening, and I heard tons of things in English. And because I'm curious, like I am today, like I was as curious back then, I tune into everywhere, all the bands. I had zero understanding that there were frequency ranges that were daytime and some nighttime, and I was just like, well, I want to see what I can hear, wherever I tune. And that first, I mean, I had it for, it's a little vague in my head how long I had the 100 before I moved to the 302, because when I had the DX100, and after a while realized that radios with frequency displays were the cool thing to have, because you often didn't know where you were tuning. I don't know how many times I tuned some frequency in English thinking, oh, that's Radio Berlin. And after a while, you're like, no, that's not Radio Berlin. It's some other station, or it's Radio Moscow, or it's Voice of America, or it's like, and the innocence of not really being able to listen to a program and make a link between, well, if they're talking about Soviet stuff, it must be Radio Moscow. It was like, yeah, and I would get all these. I remember getting a little booklet, like a little bit like this one from the British DX Club. That it was a little booklet. It was really like this, pretty much, and a little thicker, and it had frequencies. And I would, go in there, and I was like, oh, okay, 15260. So it must be somewhere here, because it's analog, and it's like, so you're not really sure where you're tuning. When I got the DX302, it was like, oh man, I can go to 15260, and I know immediately if I'm hearing it or not. The 302 is an improvement over the 100, but it had its flaws. And one of the major flaws, and it's funny because I see people today with the DX302 saying, wow, this is an amazing rig. You know why it's amazing today? Because there ain't that many strong signals. It doesn't suffer from the flaws of overload that it has. So it actually works. Back then, I didn't know at first. I would tune in and hear stations, but little did I know is that it actually was overloading, and that would actually create a background hiss on the band that would wash out the weaker stations. So I'd hear the strong ones, but the first time I noticed that this existed, I had the DX302. My dad had purchased a Panasonic RFB300. Go check that out. Go check it on Google. Go Google Panasonic RFB300. Nice portable radio with little LCD display. That radio was a very decent receiver. And in my head, it was like, well, it's a portable. It can't be as good as that big DX302, which is a desktop. In reality, it actually was better. And I remember trying to get Radio New Zealand. Now, for you that are new to the hobby today, Radio New Zealand is 100 kilowatts. It's a powerhouse compared to what it was. In 1983, 84, they were like 7.5 kilowatts. It was Radio New Zealand was a small station with very low power. If you got Radio New Zealand, it was a genuine DX catch. And I remember waking up early in the morning, summer. I was on summer vacation, and I Man, I have the feel of that time. I'm thinking about it right now, and I have the feel of 1983, 84 ish. Waking up, getting up at 6 a.m. local, which was 10 UTC. And I still remember the frequency they were using was 6100. And on the DX302, there was something in the noise. And I thought, well, possibly that is, Radio New Zealand. But problem is, because it's 1983, 84, there's a lot of strong stations on the 49 meter band at that time. And they are washing out because of the radio's overloading problems. Radio New Zealand. And I noticed that effect because I turned on the RFB 300, which I thought was inferior probably. Plugged in that 100 feet of wire I had and suddenly noticed that Radio New Zealand was actually much better. And I thought, this is weird. I went back to the 302, and at the top of the hour, one of the stations on the 49 meter band was actually ending its transmissions. It was one of the most powerful ones on the 49 meter band. And I noticed that when it left, the noise level went down and Radio New Zealand was now audible. And I thought, whoa, there's some weird effect. Things I didn't know about, things I had no idea. I was just starting off, and I had no idea that things like that happened. I didn't know that a radio could overload from a strong signal and make another signal bad because of that. And it's one of those things, when we talk about how the learning curve and how you learn over time, this is an example. I learned over time, and I just didn't know, and I learned, and it's some of the things you learn over time. It's some of the things you learn as you are basically, learning the curves of radios, how good radios, bad radios, propagation, overload, and so on. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. All the learning that I did over time, over 40 years, and why I'm here today, because like I said, I would not be here. So anyways, welcome everybody, and happy Canada Day UTC style. Canada Day contest started here because you see that's the 20 meter band. Let's check 40 meters. Anything on 40? Yeah, 40 has quite a few signals too. Look at that. And so this is a fun contest actually to check out. Dennis, nice to have you here from Southern Illinois, WA 9326. Let me just do this. In SWA in Southern Illinois. Rob, nice to have you here from Phoenix, Arizona, 102 Fahrenheit. Blind Picker, nice to have you here, Rob, in Connecticut, W0RAB. Bobby Burgess, WA5107, Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. David, KJ4CMY in Central Georgia. Richard, nice to have you here from Albany, New York. What do I need to set up an SDR? And could I get the things from Amazon, or should I buy a desktop radio? Glad you're back. This has been tough. So, okay, an SDR. First question I would ask first of all for an SDR is, what are you a little computer savvy? Are you is working on a computer something that isn't too difficult for you? Because I think an SDR, you got to ask yourself, that first question is the one you got to ask yourself. How am I with computers? Because what you'll be doing is you'll be playing around with computers suddenly. And that playing around with computers means that you'll have to kind of, understand how it all works. So that's the first thing. And if something happens, how can I continue and work with that? I think that's the first question. If you say or answer yes to the question, yeah, I'm okay with computers. I go around easily, or fairly easily. Probably the best SDR is the SDR Play RSP1A, which is an entry-level SDR that is an all-around great performer. Price for the performance is amazing. It's about $110. You won't get it on Amazon, but you can get it on ham radio outlet in the United States. Will sell it. I think it's 109 or 119 bucks. They are great. Ham radio outlet is the place to probably buy that, and make sure you got a real deal. I think for an entry level SDR is the best, and you already start off with something that's quite easy to install. It's plug and play. So this is what, here I got an RSPDX, which is an updated version. Basically, it's a more advanced version of the RSP1A. But you plug it to the USB port, and well, actually, you install the software first, SDR Uno. Once it's installed, you just plug that thing in, wait a couple of minutes for everything to be, the computer to find everything. Just start SDR Uno, press that play button, and you've got the world at your fingertips. And it's a wideband receiver, goes up to 2 gigahertz, so you even have the VHF, UHF range if you want. So, I think that would be the best. The SDR Play RSP1A is the best entry level for me. I would stay away from the RTL SDRs, V3, stuff like that. That's like 20, 30 bucks. They're okay, but it's you got to install the drivers. There's a complex thing to do before you even have use of it, which is not the case. Then the other story is getting to know that software and all of its buttons and what it does and how do you tune in and stuff like that. But that, once you're there, at least you've got a great little SDR setup. If you're not super tech savvy, if a computer scares you more than it helps you, then an SDR I would not recommend to anybody that is in that level. I would say, get yourself a good portable. And you know what? A desktop, I'm not a fan of telling anybody to buy a desktop today. First of all, new desktops, there's not a lot of stuff left, and it's expensive. And radios like the Texan H501X are desktop quality on portable radio. So I would go something like that rather than a desktop, honestly. Okay, Eyebrawler, nice to have you here from Arkansas. We have James Farley, nice to have you here from Old Bridge, New Jersey. We have Cam Magazine 1976, happy Canada Day, nice to have you here. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you on board from Winsville, Missouri. Checking in, WA0113SWL, cloudy, rainy evening. Tom DXer, nice to have you on board. WPE2QED, salut. Nice to have you here from the Hudson Valley, New York. William Helms, nice to have you here from Florida. Spike Spikerson, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Christian Marcoux, salut. J'espère que ça va bien. Nice to have you on board. Says thank you for the from comparing. There's going to be more of those comparing the PL680 and PL330. I didn't do the SSB comparing. There's going to be more of it. So nice to have you here from North Bay, Ontario. Happy Canada Day. Tristan, nice to have you here from Newfoundland, Canada. Happy Canada Day. What else do we have? David KJ4CMY says, it's good to have you back. Well, it's good to be back after a week. Nice to be here. Keegan, XN80Xer, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Cool to have everybody on board, by the way. Artist Ali Crafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you here from an extremely hot Massachusetts. Global warming is a true reality. Yeah, it was hot for quite a few days here too. Air conditioning been like running all in 24 hours. I stopped it because if I'd started, you guys would hear this. This is what it sounds like. I don't know if you guys have hear that noise, but that's air conditioning, and it probably creates quite a lot of noise on the so I'm not, and I got the wind in my face here, so it's not the best place in the world to be, anyways. What else? We have Joe Tyson. Nice to have you on board from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. Lloyd Merrill, nice to have you here from Rhode Island, W1LBM. Kevin, nice to have you on board from the Jersey Shore, enjoying his new 8,000 BTU air conditioning. Heard the BBC at 21:30 today. Weak but readable. Enjoyed the old portable videos. And more coming up, by the way, even older. We're going to do stuff, all sorts of stuff, and revisiting the old stuff. So the AC I got here in my window is a 12,000 BTU. It's that thing does almost all of the house. I got one on that is a portable one on wheels in the kitchen. Both of them together, they do the whole apartment. So it's really, really nice. What else do we have? Rufus Newt, nice to have you here from the Laurentian Valley, Ontario. Happy Canada Day. What else do we have? Chuck, nice to have you here from Pennsylvania. Brian Penny, nice to have you here. Thank you for the Happy Canada Day. And happy 4th of July. Yeah, 4th of July coming soon to you guys. And anyways, I'll have time to say it on Saturday. Jeff in New Hampshire. Nice to have you on board. What else? Kimberly, K6YYL. Nice to have you here from California. We have Rufus Newt is having an ice cold Labatt Blue. Whoa. Cool. I haven't had Labatt Blue in such a long time. Yeah, fully vaccinated, Rob. Happy to be there. And even though I felt like a crap for a couple of days. Barry Connolly, nice to have you here from Western Vermont. Abyssine Podcast. Nice to have you here from Toronto. Happy Canada Day. Absolutely. What else do we have? Dennis, the old realistic radios are unreal. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just crazy. Just crazy. RJDA Dakota, without a corner Radio Shack, I probably would not be into the shortwave radio hobby. You know, I think a lot of us, radio, electronics of any kind we could probably say that all of that was not going to be, or would not be part of our lives without a Radio Shack. You know, here I'm lucky because I live next, not far actually. I don't know who brought me there for the first time. You know what? I'm trying to think. So where I live here, there's a shopping mall that unfortunately is closing down in December after something like 58 years or something. So the shopping mall, you know, what do you do when you're young? You got a couple of bucks in your pocket. What do? You go to the shopping mall because, you know, or whatever store, big store that there's not too far. So I would go to the shopping mall and I would, you know, spend like hours looking at stuff and thinking, I got $5. What can I buy with $5? And I definitely remember going to the shopping mall, entering the Radio Shack and looking at stuff and all the, gadgets and the remote control trucks and cars that I would love to have, and so on. And whatever you had in your pocket, $5, $10, there's something you would buy. There was a little something at any price point that you would just like, oh, I'm gonna buy this. And of course, we all talk about it regularly, the battery club. I was like, oh, cool, I'll have a free battery every month. And and that was very, very intelligent, because batteries cost them like almost nothing. And at the same time, they'd bring you into that store to see all this stuff. And so you would buy stuff because you just went to get your battery. I remember once going in. I think that was the time when I'm pretty sure it's the time I bought that surprise box. I don't know if they were everywhere. Some of you don't seem not to really know what they are. So here at the Radio Shack that I was going to, they would sell surprise box. Call it the surprise box. It cost $10. And I remember I went to get my free battery, but I had like $20 in my pocket or something from like an uncle or something. And I was like, I'm going to go get my battery. And you enter Radio Shack. Of course, you're going to lose that $20. You're going to buy something, It's almost obvious that you're going in a Radio Shack with $20. That $20 is gone. And I remember I was looking at this stuff, and I see this little brown box, and I see it says surprise box. And I asked one of the guys, what's that? He says, it's a surprise box, all sorts of electronics, cool electronic stuff in there, parts, whatever. And you don't even know what's in it. It's a brown box. That's all. And it's like, okay, I'm paying $10 for this. And I got home with my free battery and the surprise box that I emptied. And in the surprise box, there was all sorts of things, like packages of resistors, transistors. There were like those little, button type cells or batteries. There was parts of circuits, electronic circuits. I remember a 27 megahertz transmitter and all sorts of things. There was a relay. There was, I'm trying to remember when I opened it, but I found it like it was like so cool. I had tons of parts in front of me, and I was like, this is cool. And I was, doing stuff, and I was powering the transmitter with my battery. I took the 9-volt battery, and I still remember because the transmitter had like, the black and the red wires. And of course I had my, DX100 or whatever. So it's like I could see on it that the frequency was, 27145. So obviously some kind of transmitter for a remote control car or something. And so it's like, does this thing really work? And I remember I tuned, 27 megahertz on the DX100. I put the 2 wires on the battery I had, and I tune, and for sure I hear a tone on one of the frequencies, and when I remove it, it's like the tone goes away. It's like, this is cool. I got a transmitter that transmits a tone. It's innocent and very simple stuff, but it's like, I've got a transmitter and it transmits a tone. So this was cool. But there's another store which is roughly same distance, walking distance, like 20 minutes away, 25 minutes away. Addison Electronics. And today there are many of them around the province of Quebec, but back then that was the only one that existed. It was a electronics surplus. They were calling themselves the biggest electronics surplus store in Canada, which I believe because it was huge, and today it's even bigger. It's like twice the size. And they had, if you needed an electronics part, they had everything. That's where you would go, except for the specialized parts. They had, you had a circuit in a magazine you needed to build. They had all you needed. And they had it at a price that was a lot more interesting than Radio Shack. I remember Radio Shack, I needed 2N2222, which is like, a very standard transistor. I remember at Radio Shack selling like, 2 for $10. And I go to Addison Electronics and I look at, what they have in the same transistor. And they have a pack of 10 for 99 cents. It's like, whoa, Radio Shack sells 2 for $10 and they sell 10 for $1. This is crazy. And it was like that with every types of parts, resistors, transistors, diodes. I would go to Addison Electronics and buy all sorts of junk, motors, relays, capacitors. I would just play around with that for hours and have fun. Make circuits. I would buy these big capacitors and I would put a relay and a bulb and I would charge the capacitor and look at, okay, I've bought this, 4 different size of capacitors. And I would, calculate how much time does the bulb light up, with such a capacitor, or how long does the relay stay on with each capacitor. And, I was a really geek. It was like, people would look at me like, what the hell are you doing? I was like, hey, I'm playing with my capacitors and my relays and my bulbs. So just leave me alone. But it was nice because I had that store also very close. So me and one of my friends that live in the same street, who is still today pretty crazy about electronics, we would go together. And I mean, we would have so much fun. And I remember the first time I bought I got 100. Today it's crazy when we talk about prices of radios. Same for electronics. I remember that we had multimeters, electronic multimeters, and I went there. I remember at Christmas I got about $150 in gifts from uncles and so on. So I don't know, 14. I got $150 in my pocket, and I go to Addison Electronics. And one of the things that I've been eyeing and wanting for a long time was a digital multimeter. Well, a digital multimeter in 1984-ish, that cost more than $100. The one I purchased was, I think, $139. And that was like the least expensive of them. They were above 100. You'd had no digital multimeter below 100. And I remember because I was with my friend and I went to Addison Electronics and I was looking at a digital multimeter and he looks at me and says, "These are cool." I said, "Yeah. If I buy one, I'm going to have $5 left in my pocket." It's like there's a half of me saying, "Yeah, you won't have any more money if you buy it." And the other half is like, "Buy it. You want it." And I remember buying it. And I remember plugging the two things in the wall socket. Is like, oh, look at that, 119.5 volts. It's like really geeky stuff. But I remember that day was one of those summer days again. No, not the summer. It was Christmas days because it was the holidays of Christmas. It was winter, but we were on vacation from school. And my friend looks at me and says, "Oh, I got a bunch of resistors. I have no idea of the values." And of course, he knew that he could look at a chart and look at the color bands and know what, obviously what he wanted was, "I want to see you measure the resistors with your multimeter." And I was like really happy. I was like, "Oh yeah, let's measure those resistors. This is going to be fun." a whole afternoon of measuring resistors and putting little tags on them saying, this is a 4.7 kiloohm resistor. So happy to measure it. It's crazy when, you think about it. I think about it today. I'm like, wow, this is, I was the weird kids for sure. But man, lots of us started with Radio Shack. I think that was a center point, and for a lot of us being here, actually, even tonight. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have? What else? Try to clear here. Chris, G7 VEO. Nice to have you on board. And what else? What else? We have oops, I think I lost my space for a second here. So if I miss out on anybody, by the way, just say hi again and I'll say ho. I'll say ho. I'll say hello. Northern Dawn, nice to have you on board from England. Dave, nice to have you on board from Indy. KJ, nice to have you here from New York City. Paul, nice to have you here from Southwest Michigan. Dennis, how would you rate the synchronous detection function on the PL368? Pretty much crappy like the rest of the Texan radios. Northern Dawn, yeah. SDRs run on Windows 8. They will run on Windows 8. They all pretty much all support Windows 8. I'm pretty sure even they support still a lot of them, if not all, still support even Windows 7, even though it's out of. Joe Rodman, nice to have you here from the Chicago area. Joseph Inkenbaum, nice to have you here from San Francisco Bay, California. Jeff in New Hampshire, I know the RSPDX has extra inputs, but is the receiver itself ahead of the RSP1A as performance? Yes, because it also has high dynamic range for lower frequencies that improves upon medium wave, long wave reception, and anything really in the low frequency ranges. It does have a more advanced receiver in it, for sure. And it personally, and it has, of course, a metal casing also, which is something that is nice, while the RSP1A is a plastic case. Matt, nice to have you here. MDK2 from Denver. Bit wiped out. Been getting things ready for the first real family get-together after a year and a half. Yeah. I bet you guys are going to be partying a little more now at 4th of July this weekend also. Scott Belcher, nice to have you here, joining from Kentucky. Station from Michigan and Wisconsin from Keegan. X80DXer from FM eSkip. Cool. Some cool eSkip stuff there. What else? Check it out. Joseph Ickenbaum says, Gerald, your AC isn't too loud, actually. Really? It's not too bad? It's not. It's mostly because I have it in the face, because I would actually turn it on. Not that it's that hot, because it worked all day. It's 21 inside here right now, but it's, of course, because I turned it off, temperature is rising. Canadian Radio TV guy, happy Canada Day. Don't get baked out there. Getting close to 100 degrees, 40 Celsius this week. And can't even hear your AC over my fan. VT Radio, nice to have you here from Essex Junction, Vermont. Paul, AA1SU. What's my email address? It's official. I'm going to put it here in the official shortwave radio at gmail.com. And by the way, let me just check the email before I forget. Thanks for that tip here. We have in that email Richard Lemke. Nice to have you on board. Says it's hot outside in Alberta, 37 Celsius. Youch. So he says don't leave your dog or kids in your car as temperatures double inside, and be kind to each other. From St. Albert, Alberta. Happy Canada Day, Richard. We also have Elizabeth saying hello from Regina, Saskatchewan, saying happy Canada Day. Enjoying the show. Missed the show last week. It's always fun to have you on the air. I almost don't know what to do with my evenings or my time when you're not on. Well, thank you very much, Elizabeth. Nice to have you here. So cool to have everybody on board, my friends. It's really, really nice. Anything else here when I check email? Oops. Did I just erase an email that I brought here? I hope not. If anybody wrote to me in the last 2 seconds and I'm not replying, I erased something. I need to go in the archive. So nice to have everybody here. What else do we have? So the contest, Canadian Radio TV Guide, goes until 23:59 UTC. So it's a 24-hour contest. It's Canada Day, UTC time. Mark Alford, nice to have you here. The Canadians better play like they're on fire. Yes, absolutely. It's creating a lot of energy here with the Montreal Canadiens going so far. Dave says just put up 37-meter loop around my attic shack. Loads of signals, loads of noise. So much air conditioner RFI from all neighbors. Joseph Richard, I was thinking about a ham radio license to join Wireless Society of Southern Maine. I enjoy my 660 and want to talk to others. What is your thought on this, and what starter radio should you recommend? So, it's a great idea. Honestly, it's a great idea to become a ham radio operator. Absolutely. Especially if you want to talk with others. This is great. I don't know what's the budget that you have, but you know what? As long as you make sure that you're careful choosing it, it could be a used transceiver, a Kenwood or an ICOM that's still working great. To anything, one of the most popular affordable rigs, I think everybody would pretty much agree that it's the ICOM ICR 7300 or IC 7300. Which is one of the amazing transceivers for price versus performance, I think. So that could be a nice starter transceiver for you. And of course, the VHF, UHF range, you can, there's a lot of nice little portable transceivers out there for that range too. So, Joseph Fickenbaum, weird digital signal on 10600 at 036 UT. Let me check that. 10600. Anything here? Oops. Should be here because this is where I'm going to actually check out what we hear. So let's go here. Let's go to 106. Don't really hear anything special here. So nothing special here. Don't know what we are actually listening to. William Helms, K3FEF and PA3FWM remote SDR radios aren't much at all to complain about. Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of these online receivers are amazing. I can tell you that. TVDXer, salut, j'espère que ça va bien. Oui, ça va bien. Ça va bien. Ça a pris 2 jours avant que je me replace vraiment. On Sunday, I still had a slight headache, but it wasn't too bad. John says, Radio Shack slogan, you have questions, we have batteries. KG, what got me into radio? I think, I think I've said it many times. I think my dad is what got me into radio. My first radio ever, and you guys know, is an Ernie in the Bathtub AM radio. I was about 6 or 7 years old that my sister gave me as a Christmas gift. If Christmas or birthday gift. And boy, did I go around with that little radio a lot. But, you're 7 years old. It's mysterious. It's radio, but it's Ernie in the Bathtub before all of that. And it was electronics. I remember being fascinated by the electronics and what happened. And those 9-volt clips when you clip and unclip batteries all the time, these wear out at some point. And I remember one day removing the battery and I get like one black wire coming out of the thing. And then it's like, okay, what am I going to do? And I remember I would take the tip of the red and black and I would carefully shove them on the tip of the 9-volt battery and carefully put the battery in the radio and put the cover back so that the 2 wires stick into the connectors and the radio still works. And I remember running that for a while. I think my first real radio amazement. So as a kid, I loved train sets and racing car sets and stuff. My dad came home. Actually, I think we went together. There's a chain of stores back then here in Canada called Consumer Distributing, which was a very weird type of store. So you would go there and they had a counter, and in the front, nothing was displayed in that store. You would go in, there would be catalogs, and you would go through the catalog, and you had these little papers with wooden wooden pencils that you would actually write down the description of what it is and the number related to that item in the catalog. You would go to the counter and give that to somebody, and I think you probably put your name on it, and then you would wait. She would give that in a little, like a little window, and then you'd wait and wait. And at another side, there were boxes coming out. Somebody was sending the boxes out, and there was stuff, and they would call people, and they would, it's like you'd go to the counter. One of the biggest problems with that chain was that they never had half of what's in the catalog. So every time you would go there with that little paper and being excited that you're going to buy that thing, they would call your name and say, well, we're sorry, we don't have it. I was like, okay, bummer. I think I was more, I came out of this consumer distributing more depressed than happy most of the time. But I remember that day, we went there, and my dad wanted to have a multi-band radio, and I looked at it and it looked cool, and it was like I was all happy and waiting for that multiband. And of course, deception. Oh, we're sorry we don't have it. But then the girl says, because there were two consumer distributings here that were like real close to each other. She says, do you want me to call the other one to see if they have it? So my dad said, yeah, call. And she called, and the other one had one. And it's like, cool. So we added to the other Canadian distributing, and we took the radio home. That was probably the real start of my radio passion, because I realized we had something that was unusual. You know, wasn't just an AM FM radio. It was a radio that actually could receive airband and airplanes and shortwave, which I didn't know what it was, but it had SW1, SW2, which was mysterious to me. Hearing Morse code and thinking, wow, what's that? Spies? And so on. VHF low band, hearing the police, local police in Montreal on it. That was kind of a revelation that you can buy a radio that gets all of these communications around you. And you realize that around you, there's tons of things to listen to. So I think that opened my eyes to what's possible. And that just triggered the rest, and the reason why I'm here, actually. So that was really the starter. The next reason why I'm here is because when I got the DX100, I understood finally what SW was. Oh, it's shortwave, and you're listening to the world. You know, it was pretty crazy. That is, Canadians drink on Canada Day, or is Canada dry? That's a good one. Oh man, what else do we have? What else do we have? Let me just go back to where I was, or almost. Graham Taplin, nice to have you here, Graham, from hot Milton, Ontario. Here's going to cool down in the next few days. Thank God, because, man, thank God. Yeah, they're gone in Canada now. Yeah, there's Canada Dry. There's some here at the grocery. I see it all the time. So let me let's pull out the champagne for Canada Day, or AKA the sparkling wine. There we go. Here we go. So cheers and happy Canada Day once again to everybody. Darren Rogers, nice to have you here. KB2AHS from Long Island, New York. Black Cherry Canada Dry. I've never seen that here. Okay. What else do we have? Dean Hintz, nice to have you here, Dean, from Middle Georgia. Canadian Radio TV guy says in Canada we also have Cranberry Canada Dry. I've never seen that one either. Huh. But I'm not much of a anything that is so soft drinks of any kind. Everybody saying hello to Elizabeth. John Beckham, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Chaz Tank, nice to have you on board, tuning from Louisville, Kentucky. Pretty cool. We have VT Radio spent all weekend in the CW tent at Field Day. We broke a record here with 1,736 CW QSOs in 24 hours. Was also in the phone tent for about half an hour to relieve the shift. Our call was W1NVT. Cool. I listened in quite a lot, off and on through the weekend to the Field Day. It's always fun to listen to. What else do we have? Yeah, he thought satellite 750. That's not worth $700. It's barely worth $399. What else we have? Milky Chen, XH Data D808 on sale on Amazon Prime, $92.63. And Texan R9012 at $26.33. Yeah, XH Data at $92.63, not bad at all. Not bad at all. That's a good price. Anyone that doesn't have one, this is a good radio. Jeff, New Hampshire, got my new call last week. W1XTX, studying for the general now. Cool. Nice to have you on board. It has a new ham. Woohoo. Yogi, nice to have you on board. Good morning. What else? Gary 24 fan, sounded like old service merchandise stores in the US, but the items were actually on display. Yeah, here we had nothing. It was like a front. There was like a big window. You would go in. It was just, tables with catalogs and little pens and papers. You would put your name. You would put a description of the item and the number related to whatever you wanted. You'd give that to somebody. And magically through a hole, a box would appear. They would call your name, and that's what you just ordered from that. That actually is where comes I still have it. I found it the other day when I had to move stuff. My first GE alarm clock with the blue fluorescent lighting display for the time and AM FM radio, of course. That comes from, it's probably one of the only things left here in my home that actually came from a actual consumer distributing store. I had my first job, I still remember, my first ever job, and I needed an alarm clock to wake up in the morning, and I went there, bought it. I still remember paid like $25, $30 for it. And it still exists. I never could depart from it. It was like it has something. I should actually plug it in and tune AM and FM on it to see how good a radio it is. I should put it here, plug it in and put it here with its clock display. Put the clock in UTC time. That could be nice. Man. Yes, I am much better, TVDXR. Absolutely. What else do we have? What else do we have? What else do we have? Darren Rogers remembers Consumers Distributing. They had one a short distance from my house. John Beckham, just for your information. Whoops, I lost where I was. I'm way too far behind now. I lost where I was. So John Beckham, for your information here on Shortwave Stream, Prentice offers great customer service. If you buy one of their radios in which something breaks down, after you purchase, they send you a new radio. Problem is the radio doesn't work. And thanks to Tom DXer, we have the score for hockey scores. Montreal 0, Tampa Bay 0 at 9:01 p.m. Eastern Time. TVDXer picked up a St. Jean HJR14 for $25 with the original owner manual, no AC/DC power supply, but I was able to order replacement. Well, that's cool. Just a cheap price, and hope that you're going to have fun with it. Play around with it. Have fun. I would guess you might get some of the HD FM outlets from Montreal actually on it. Abassine podcast says late 70s. My dad used to listen to Voice of America and BBC World Service because our local media did not cover local situations. I'm originally from Pakistan. Yeah, you remind me of one of my first jobs that I had. There were a lot of immigrants coming from different countries, but there was a couple of guys coming from El Salvador, and I had a few people from South America also that we would hang out on Friday night and go and eat at different restaurants around town. And one night, one of the guys comes from, oh man, he came from, trying to remember. And it was one of the guys was mentioning that, he'd like to know more about, stations from around the world and stuff. And he found that, he would find sad that the radio we today, that's before the internet, radio, AM, FM radio didn't have much outlets for people that were, of other communities. And I said, oh, there's shortwave radio that has stations from all over the world. And I still remember a couple of them came home, and I showed them stations, listening to stations, and there's a few stations I tuned around in Spanish, especially. And they were amazed that we could listen to stations from other countries on the radio. Back then, I would show them at that time, I was showing them on the DX302. And they were so surprised that we could hear and didn't even know what shortwave was all about, which surprised me because, we often talk about how radio is something, in some countries is important. Shortwave is important for, the voices of other stations from other countries giving us news in times of, when things go bad. And they had no idea. And I was like, wow, you guys come from Central South America and don't really know much about shortwave. I remember that surprised me at the time. Abassine podcast, thanks for your compare of the Saint-Jean 909X and Texan PL 990X. Almost bought a Saint-Jean, but luckily found your video on it. Yeah, it's not that, like I said, it's not that the Saint-Jean's a bad radio, but for the price, it's unfortunately could be better. Jason Francis, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here from Ottawa. Just think another Canadian day I shall listen to SCTV tonight. Oh man. What else do we have? Vicky Pelletier, nice to have you here. Bonjour, bienvenue. Jeff, those GE displays were magical. I buy them off eBay and give them to my family as gifts as they bring back fond memories listening to the AM dial. Oh, man. Jeff, John Beckham is enjoying his Seaward D808 as it is very sensitive and has a amber yellow display, unlike the bright blue XH data. Cool. And JDXer, nice to have you on board. Don't worry, I missed a few shows too. We need to get Joe to say you bunch of hosers. Oh God. Northern Dawn says we had a shop called Argos here, like that. Huh. Such a weird way of doing it. It's crazy. Christian Marcoux received an alarm clock for my 6th birthday. It was cool, but wow, it was scary to wake up to it. The alarm, a nightmarish, fast, nuclear end of the world siren. Oh yeah, the GE I have, if you don't put on radio, it's like that. Bam, 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 bam. It's truly a nuclear war siren in a alarm clock. It was either that or you put radio. And for some reason, I always hated radio when I wake up. Where is Paul? Paul is in the backyard. Actually, the neighbors downstairs are having a barbecue in the backyard, and Paul has actually sat down on one of the chairs with them, and they were laughing. It was like, I look at Paul and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And they're all laughing. It's like, "Well, this is cute. Your cat is having a nice evening with us." He's really, really a friendly cat. Christian Marcoux, Paul the cat no longer wants Joe to say where he is. He wants us to leave it alone. Yep. Oh, God. Scott Belcher, if I were spending over $300, I'd get the Texan H501. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That radio is the radio to get. The radio to get. Paul El Salvador, yeah, pupusas. I would one of the guys. Sometimes when all the other guys didn't want to go out, one of the guys from El Salvador was telling me, he was like, "Oh, I still remember my first time." He said, "Oh, I'm going to bring you to a place. You know what pupusas are?" I said, "No, I don't know." And it's like pupusas the pollo, the queso. I was like, "Oh, look at that! This is so good." And not far from here, actually, and I think that place still exists. I need to go back there and get some. Yep. Tristan, yesterday I picked up a strange echo distortion. Was wondering if I could have been receiving the signal from multiple directions at the same time when the signal goes around the planet. If you are listening to regular broadcasts of an international broadcast station and there's an echo on it, usually you're getting two directions. You're getting multipath, you're getting long path and short path at the same time, which creates that echo. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you on board. Just you did it. Oh, God. Device 9, I've been hearing some kind of air traffic on 8891, 8867, and 8843 upper sideband. Can't quite figure out what's going on because it sounds like they are doing a phone patch or something. Any insights? Yeah, those are frequencies for the aeronautical communications. So what happens is what they'll do is they'll identify from time to time, give their altitude, direction. So it's not that it's difficult to understand what they're saying, but you have to kind of understand the lingo. So, if they say, for example, you'll hear, American Airlines 345. So that's the plane. And then they're going to go on saying, flight level, flight level 150 or 15 or something like that. It's like, well, they're at 15,000 feet. And, they're going to say like at 250. Well, they're heading 250 degrees. If you look at, how a map works from their direction. It's really a question of understanding the basics of what these terms mean. Once you get it, you kind of pretty much understand what they're saying, how high they are, where they're going, and they'll have radio shacks. You'll often hear tones, and these tones are called cell call. Cell call is selective calling. So that set of tones that they send out, it's a way to control the radio. So imagine you're in the plane and you're the pilot. The last thing you want to hear is static or all the other planes checking in all the time. You don't want to have that. You want to have quiet conditions unless the tower is talking to you. So what they do is they have the cell call. So it's a set of tones that they set up for that plane. So that's why sometimes they send it 2 or 3 times to make sure it works. And that cell call is going to be used to activate the squelch of their receiver. So as long as that tone is not sent, the radio is quiet. If they need to talk to that plane, they'll send the series of tones, and the squelch of the radio will actually activate, and they're going to hear the communications that are going with it. So often you'll hear set of tones, And then you'll hear, for example, New York or Gander saying American Airlines 456. They just triggered the squelch, and now they're calling the plane because they want to, they want to ask something, or they want to check if there's still everything is all right. It needs a little bit getting used to. But if you look at on the websites, a lot of the websites online of aeronautical communications, it's fairly easy to understand the talk, the type of language they're using, and knowing what's happening. But definitely, you were listening to airplanes over the Atlantic Ocean, or there's different routes. So, it's going to be Caribbean, Atlantic, Pacific, depending on where you live in the world. These different frequencies will give you different airports, but there are major hubs like New York and Gander are the hubs for the East Coast, for example. San Francisco is the hub for the West Coast. And there's a lot of other places around the world. And they will, depending on the frequency you're listening to a certain route. So, for example, 8891, I believe, is one of the North Atlantic ones. But there are other frequencies where it's going to be Caribbean routes or South Atlantic routes or whatever, depending on what you're listening to. It's a whole world, and it's really, really nice to listen to an aeronautical communications. One of the things that you can have if you listen regularly is surprise phone patches. One of the videos I have on the channel, and I still remember how it puts you in the excitement of an event that's happening. I was at Perry Island a few years ago, and I started hearing. It was very high in frequency, 17,900 and something. And I think it was the first time I heard planes so high in frequency. And it was, I knew it was aeronautical communications. It was the a Caribbean route. So the plane was over the Caribbean, and it was New York. That was air traffic control. And when I tuned, I heard the plane, and by chance, just by chance, they started talking about a passenger that was having what looked like a heart attack, and they needed to have communications with a doctor, and they actually had a phone patch with a doctor asking the crew questions to assess how bad it is. And they were arranging to actually, fly to another airport that was closer to try to save this person's life. It's quite interesting when you listen regularly. The world of communications on shortwave of every kind, including aero communications, pretty surprising and very, very interesting. Actually, not necessarily, John Beckham. A lot of portable radios, I think, are designed, especially the small, very small portables. A lot of those radios are designed that your body and you holding it in your hand is actually helping the radio itself in performance. It's not necessarily that it's a bad radio, but a lot of those are designed, I think they're designed like that, honestly. Cool Device 9. I'll have a little more insight on what's happening. But it's really, really cool to listen to communications like that. So I'm actually reached the bottom of the chat. Pretty amazing. So today, and now it's Canada Day, or the Radio Amateurs of Canada Day contest. It started about an hour and a half ago at 0 UTC. So you see a lot of signals there. That's 40 meters. These are Canada Day stations probably. Maybe let's tune. I'm going to tune 20 meters. I want to check out what's on 20. If I can check out what's in there. There we go. So 20 meters, a little quieter, but there's some stuff. And of course, I will need to put colors on this because I've got two exact keyboards. One is controlling the computer that is actually with the camera and the stream, and one is controlling that computer. So not to mess up which one does what, I'll have to tag them in some way or put a color tag on them. So anyways, it's Canada Day contest. One of the fun things about the Canada Day contest is to get the RAC station. So each province, each territory has a designed or designated RAC suffix station. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to check out on the DX clusters, DX Fun cluster, if I can see some of those designated channels. So each province of Canada has one RAC station that is assigned. That is cool because that means you can actually try for so many different stations from different areas of Canada, and the RAC stations particularly are fun. It's probably your best time to hear as much of Canada as you can on the ham bands. It goes on till 23:59 UTC, so it's a 24-hour contest. Big chunk of the day tomorrow for most of North America. So it's really, really cool to check that out. Let's tune around here. I'm looking at the cluster. I don't see any RAC stations yet. But let's check out what's on the bands. Oh, let's try 14210 VE7BC from British Columbia. Can we hear that? So that one's on 14210. So 14210. Well, I hear British Columbia. If we don't, we're going to tune around.
I got through so much equipment, I couldn't even begin to list it, Harvey. Between helicopters and Hammerlin.
That's 14205.
Drake, I had the Drake, two Drake twins. I had the Kenny twins. I had SX-101, the helicopters. Check Echo 3, November Fox Bravo, 5916.
There's a Victor Echo 3 on 14190.
A whole bunch of 8120. Victor Alpha 3 kilowatt radio Celsius, the unit 59 number 100. There we go. Thank you, and happy Canada Day. All right, thank you. Travel to 6 Alpha, Florida Alpha. Here is at Canada Day.
So this is an American station.
To Canada Day. Travel to 6 Alpha,
From a
Florida
W6 station. 14238.
Here is at Canada Day. The recording doing something mode, so you hit play. And hit play, or will it do that automatically?
So there's a few stations. So Canada Day is a fun thing to tune around. You'll hear a lot of different provinces, and it's really the time to listen to all of Canada from everywhere. I'm particularly looking for the stations, and there's one I think in Whitehorse, in Whitehorse. And of course, every province, one of the fun things to do is to log or talk to all the provinces and territories in that 24 hours, which is pretty cool also. Jason Francis says, when the waves are quiet, I like to listen to aircraft because I am just a few kilometers from the airport. I can see the planes I'm listening to. It's fun. Yeah, when you live near an airport, there's a lot of stuff that's fun too on the VHF range also. Brad at Amarillo, nice to have you here. Band conditions were fantastic Sunday. About noon here in Amarillo, heard VE3ZV from Ontario on 14652. Wow, that's a simplex frequency. Pretty crazy. Mike WX50, nice to have you on board from Northwest Arkansas, watching UFOs Declassified live on Discovery Channel. I think we'll be contacted via shortwave in the near future. Hope so. I wanna let you know if aliens are out there. Please contact us on the official shortwave channel. Give us a frequency. 7153 as VE6RAC. Let's check it out. 7153 lower sideband. Am I hearing VE6RAC? That's the station. It's a little weak. So 40 meters. What's on 40 meters? So lots of stations on 40 meters. Victor Echo 3 Tango Whiskey on 7155.4.
Thank you, Victor Echo 3 Tango Whiskey.
7155.3.
Delta November Mike, Python, Ontario. Thank you, Victor Echo 3 Tango Whiskey. Thank you, 59004. 00459 in Ohio. Copy that, Kilogram 8 Yankee Alpha, Oscar, Hotel 59 and 004. You're going to be number 39 on my site, and 59 is your signal from Oscar November. Thank you for the Oscar November. Have fun. Sorry, increase. Go ahead. Again, with something with Kilo 9. River. Now, what kind of men they're married to? What's that? You're killing me, Ron. My Buckmaster out of Tower 2, so we'll see. QRZ for the Canada contest. Victor Alpha 3 Tango Papa Sierra contest.
That's 7131. Lots of stations for Canada Day. Lots of stations. So the only RAC that I see right now is VE6RAC in Alberta on 7153 lower sideband. VE6RAC. I could hear it a little. It was kind of weak, but it was there. So lots of stuff on Canada Day. Lots of stuff. What else do we have? Stephen Wood, nice to have you on board. Massive lightning storm just to the west here. Clouds are lit up. So, yeah, or radio with just a portable. John Hummel Newell, nice to have you here. VE5JHN. There's also the 13 Colonies contest this weekend. So, yeah, that's something to check out. Dan V, nice to have you on board. And says needs more e-skip. We always need e-skip. It needs to be there all the time. You know, so you're in Ohio and AWJZ. Somebody was telling me the other day, it's like, it would be fun if, you know, e-skip was all the time there. And here we could hear all this stuff. And I told the guy, I said, you know, it's fun when it's there. But I think part of why it's fun is because it's not always there. It's unpredictable. So the fact that we will have weeks sometimes without any e-skip, that's what makes it fun, because when it's there, we want to enjoy that moment, and we want to continue with that moment. So that's something that is to think about, I think. Scott Belcher, assume at first I was only hearing the local airport on my airband until I realized these were large commercial planes. I don't know where I'm hearing them from, but I enjoy it. Yeah, there's a website called Flight Radar. Flight Radar. There's a website called Flight Radar 24. So Flight Radar 24. If you go to that site, .com, Flight Radar 24, you can enter what you hear. So if you hear, I don't know, you know, American Airlines 456, you just go there and find American Airline 456. It's going to actually show you in real time roughly the positioning of the plane over the ocean, for example. It's really cool. I've used that quite a few times, and it's a lot of fun. When you don't pay to be a member of Flight Radar, it's not as accurate, but you can still, you know, search for the plane and see which plane it is, and check it out. And if you click on the plane on the map, you'll be able to see from what airport and where it's going. So there's a lot of information about that, and it's really pretty cool. So, for example, here, if you hear AFR 681, well, Air France 681, that's how they're going to identify. And you can actually find the plane on Flight Radar and check out where it is. So you'll have at least an idea of where that plane is, where Flight Radar is, where that plane is on the map. So it adds another dimension. It adds another dimension to your listening experience, for sure. What else do we have? Jason Francis, I'm hearing everything tonight. It is pretty exciting. I often cannot get a lot of the frequencies people put out in the chat. Cool. Cool. Navid Farham, nice to have you on board. Can you catch a Bangladeshi station? The only Bangladesh station I heard was a Bangladesh Betar, and I haven't heard that in a long time. The frequency that was making it up here in Montreal actually is not used anymore in the 13 megahertz range. They're still in the 60 meter band from what I've seen. So, but the time and frequency used is not making it here, unfortunately. Paul, been learning to receive HFDL signals this week using multi-PSK. Picked up a plane over Hudson Bay earlier tonight, Southwest Michigan. Shows latitude, longitude on Google Earth. So that's exciting. Absolutely. That's another exciting thing. I need to get into that and check it out. That's a lot of fun stuff too. And make a few videos maybe to explain to others how to do it. Pretty cool. Keegan says CKPR, 107 miles shy of 1,000 miles from here. That's pretty good. Israel, everyone looking barely to... What? Dan V, 10 meter FM repeater strong a few days ago. Yeah, these are fun to listen to also. Definitely fun to listen to. Yeah, cool, eh? I've did that so many times. Steve, nice to have you here from Australia. You can use radarbox.com. So I guess the Canadians just probably scored because I'm hearing tons of people screaming everywhere outside. So I guess the Canadians have scored. Here I see it's Lightning 1, Canadian 0. But since I just, oh yeah, it's 1-1 now. That's why people are screaming like crazy outside. You know, you don't even need to watch the game to know if it's going well. You hear people screaming. So I was hearing people screaming outside. I was like, oh God, okay. So it's 1-1 right now. So I guess. What else do we have? Keegan says, I was thinking I could hear 500 miles and I could hear 500 more to beat a man without a 1,000-mile e-skip. That would go really well with that song. I could hear 500 miles and I could hear 500 more with e-skip in my radio. Then someday I'll hear Australia. So I didn't know that one. Radarbox.com. Let me check that out here. Radarbox.com. Box.com. Look at that. Pretty nice too. Okay, cool. I'll check that one also. Nice. Nice to have, you know, a community like this that everybody's helping out and giving their own websites and places where they actually do the same thing. KG4NWE, Ross, just landed a few Canada contacts. QRP from South Carolina. Just found out what was going on. Contest time. Yes. Canada Day contest. Canada Day contest. John Beckham says, I have discovered that DXing is very good from 15,000 to 16,000 in the very early mornings, from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Eastern on the eastern coast of Florida. There's, you know, there are different times of day, and especially now we're in the summer months, so propagation is very unique in higher frequencies too. But there are these specific times, and it's fun to tune around. Early morning, definitely, and evening. It's a lot of fun to check that out and listen to what's on the air. And you know, you'll see with that as summer goes through. So we're still, you know, we just started summer. Days barely started getting shorter here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's surprising. It's surprising to see what you can what you could get and how the propagation is going to change over time. So pretty cool. WebSDR.com, that does not exist anymore from what I understand. It's Kiwi SDR now that you want to go to. The Kiwi SDR stuff is nice. Yeah, yes, that's the problem, Keegan. When you upload, you know, jingles are okay. If you upload radio jingles, that's going to go through. But unfortunately, if you upload a lot of videos of FMDX with music in it, the problem is the copyright strikes that you get from the FMDX, which is the problem, and that blocks videos, or sometimes the audio isn't there, and there's so many things that can go through. But do the jingles. The jingles, well, I think the jingles are fine. They're going to go through, and at least you'll have that. But it's definitely cool to have videos showing what you're receiving at your location. That's for sure. And but it's pretty crazy. For those that are wondering about the best frequencies, for HF aeronautical communications, there's a website that's called Can Air Radio. So I'm going to put the site here, which is www.canairradio.com, and canairradio.com. And if you go there, click the HF frequencies on the left side of the screen. There's a place called HF frequencies. There, simply choose Moira, and you'll have all the frequencies for the aeronautical stuff. So the major world air route areas, which is MWARA frequencies. So you'll have the Atlantic, Pacific, Caribbean, South American, African, Indian Ocean, Europe, Asia, Central Asia, Middle East. Everything's there. All the frequencies and the different air traffic control stations that actually will give you the or that are using that set of frequencies. So, for example, the major North Atlantic route, which is Family A, which has Gander in New York here on the East Coast, but also includes Canarias, Paramaribo, Piarco, Santa Maria, Shanwick in the UK. And they use like 3016, 5598, 8906, and 13306, and so on. So you can check that out. Bonne nuit, TVDXer. Stay safe. Fais attention à toi. Toujours un plaisir. So that's a great place. A great place to check out the aeronautical stuff. SMZ TVDXer. So there's a lot of information on the internet about what you're listening. I had an extensive, for those that don't know what about the messenger, I have an extensive article with even all the maps of the different areas that these air traffic control stations are actually connecting to with the major flight routes. So it's pretty cool, and it's a lot of fun to tune. So definitely, aeronautical communications is really cool to listen to, and you never know what's going to happen. Like I said, you can have phone patches. Maybe a passenger on board has a problem. Some emergency. You never know. And it's and I would tell you guys to hurry in listening to aeronautical communications, because one of the problems that is going to arise for a shortwave listener is the fact that these slowly are moving to a new system, and as the years go by, we might actually eventually hear less and less of these communications from aeronautical, from airplanes and so on the HF bands. So do listen to those because one day they're not going to be there anymore. So now's the time to listen. Harry Olden, which radio do you think would be the better for medium wave DX, the SDR Play DX or the Texan A501X? Honestly, I think both would do great. The H501X is portable, which is, of course, an advantage, unless you have a laptop or tablet. So, for basically for, basically, what is that? So basically, what I was saying is you're getting the portability on an H501, which is not, the possibility, maybe, depending on what you have in technology with the RSPDX. But I think both the RSPDX will require an external antenna. The H501 does have a larger and longer ferrite that makes it a really good antenna for medium wave, just out of the box. And of course, with the added external antenna, it's something interesting that you could use. But it definitely, both are great, depending on what you're going to use. But you'll need also a good antenna with it. Device 9, yeah. When we talk about the internet, so many people tell me the internet killed shortwave, which is not true. Not true. I think if you think the internet kills shortwave, you don't understand shortwave. Because if it's true, then all like stations like Radio Netherlands would be on the internet. They're not. They just left. It's more of a money thing and short view of what shortwave is all about and how it can help a country and the world. The internet is this. It's all the information that you get that was difficult to get and almost impossible to get at a certain time. In the 80s, I mean, you had an idea of, okay, here's the frequency ranges to listen to aircraft, but you didn't have, a lot of information about the specific. You had to buy a book to maybe get the specifics of, Gander and New York use these frequencies, and you got to listen to, and then you had the planes, but you didn't really know where they were. Now today you go to, one of the websites like Flight Radar 24. It's changed the hobby. We have so much information at our fingertips that is just crazy. We have tons of information at our fingertips, and that actually is the amazing part of the internet. And I mean, how many times I said I'd like to have, if I would have had a guy like me, like a show like this to watch in 1982 while I was starting out, I would have freaked out. I would like, wow, this is so cool. This guy's show is amazing, and I'm doing radio, and we're all doing radio together, which is something that's very different. The internet is another dimension of our hobby, totally helping us out in what is out there. I don't count the internet as an enemy of shortwave. It's just such a cool way of getting all the info of what's out there. I think that's really what the internet is all about. KG4NWE, the FCC nicely make it hard to put up a station that reaches past the neighborhood with rules and regulations. Not really. It's all a question of being, setting up properly. Device 9, best we had was the DX shows like on Radio Netherlands. Best info out there on shortwave at the time. Yeah. How did we get our information back then? You were either you were part of a club, and with that club, you had a bulletin that gave you information about, a paper bulletin that would send out to you. And it's just the way we had information, often outdated a little bit because it was like a month, 2 months old information. We had magazines, Popular Communications, Monitoring Times. We had how we get schedules. Often we got schedules because your favorite station would, that you wrote to it, so it sent you that schedule for the next season of frequencies they're going to use and times, and then they change their minds, and it's like, oh well, that frequency was not the best. We're going to choose another one, and then you were out of, it's like almost luck. It's like, yeah, I got to find Radio Berlin tonight. I don't know where it is. I know they're at 0 UTC, but I don't know when, what frequency to tune. There was a lot of things we didn't know, and we guessed, and unless we were part of a club or something, it was difficult to have the schedules. I remember a German club that the first time I had a bulletin that was like a paper bulletin like this. In it, they had German and English language broadcasts. It was only dedicated to what's in German and English. So, of course, I don't understand German, which was not necessarily interesting for me, but the English was interesting. So I remember I got a few copies of them because I wanted to know what's on the air. And that bulletin, I believe, was out every month or so. You could subscribe to it, or every few months, and they would have as accurate as you can schedules of shortwave broadcasts. That was truly amazing at the time because it was difficult to really get the full schedules of everything, And I remember punching in all of those frequencies and trying out each station one by one and trying to, wondering, will I get that station? Will I get that station? And often than not, it was like, I'm not receiving that station, but you were going through, trying to get it. It was truly amazing and a lot of fun, but it was hard to get the info we needed to what is it exactly I'm listening to. Today you're tuning around and you see a signal and you're going to like, oh, there's a Morse code signal on 6607. What is that? And miracle, you go on Google and it's like 6607 kilohertz CW. Oh, look at that. It's for XZ. It's a station from Israel. It's never been as easy to get the info we need. And it's truly amazing what the internet has brought us, honestly. So Keegan has uploaded his recording of CKPR, Thunder Bay, Ontario. Cool. Shelley, nice to have you on board. Chas Tank, I like how you said that one hobby helping another out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, monthly club, radio club bulletin, stuff like that. Absolutely. QST magazine is where I learned stuff. Says KG4 NWE. Candy Class in the 90s, when I started, I would listen to radio shows and buy all sorts of books. I would go downtown, and there was a store called Radio Lorenz, and that's where the Kenwood 5000 actually I had came from. Sheldon Harvey had purchased a radio by a books by mail business, which was called Piff Books at the time. It was in Laval. And I remember them because the first time I heard about the Passport to World Band Radio, you had to order it from them. So I would send out a letter with a check and wait like, a month and a half, and I'd get my book, and I would be so happy. Sheldon Harvey purchased that business that was like going out of business, and he continued with the books. And I didn't know back then, but it was cool because he had a deal with Radio Lorenz to have a lot of books on display in the store downtown. So when I would go and drool over the Kenwood R5000 for a while, I would actually buy books. And there were tons of books. I bought books. Oh man, back then I bought some of the books that I purchased. There was a book called the Confidential Frequency List. Anybody remember that book? I bought it a couple of times. That was a nice book. Confidential Frequency List. I purchased oh man, what did I buy? I bought a lot of books there. Of course, I would buy the Passport to World Band Radio there. I purchased, I bought so many. If I had kept them, I'd probably have all sorts of books of different aspects of shortwave broadcasting. There were so many back then. I had one about pirate radio. I purchased a couple of World Radio TV handbooks from the time. There's a lot of stuff. So I would go there and purchase stuff. I would get, sometimes I would not be a member of the magazine of the club, like, the Canadian International DX Club that I do the utility column. I've been an off and on member on that club for years. Back in the 80s, the first club I ever subscribed to was a French Quebec club. And I don't remember where I heard about them. I'm wondering if it's not maybe Radio Canada International. I had heard that there was a club called the Club en Cours du Québec, and it was a Quebec club. One of the problems with having a French language club in Quebec is that because it was a small, population, having really enough people for a subscription was tough. So they opened up their subscription to the French side. So there were probably 50% France members and 50% Quebec members. And that would make that club kind of a little unique because there would be, some logs from France and some logs from Quebec, which are different. So we don't hear the same thing and so on. I actually ended up, because that club, when it started to decline, people were leaving the columns and nobody was there to write the columns, and they were going crazy trying to find somebody who wants to do so. And I remember I ended up doing the loggings column on that club for about a year and a half. But I'll be very honest, those guys were a bunch of idiots. And after a year and a half, I had enough of that club. It was like, man, I just can't stand you guys anymore. And interesting, because when I left with the loggings column, I think the club totally disappeared about a year later. I got contacted by a guy maybe a couple of years after that, in the mid-90s, that was really hyped up at trying to revive the Quebec club. And I told him, I said, look, guy, I'm not interested. With all that happened and all of the idiots that were in that club, I'm not interested in restarting a club like that. It was like a bad Facebook group, honestly. And I ended up like, I'm not interested. So when I was a member of the Club on Côte du Québec, there was, of course, a page about ANARC, which was the Association of North American Radio Clubs. And in there, you could see the other clubs that existed. And one of them was CIDX, Canadian International DX Club. And that's, at one point, I decided to subscribe for a year. And I was off and on. And the messenger was, you know, I kind of waned out of the interest of clubs from time to time. It was like magical to be in a club the first time. But after a couple of years of being in clubs, I was kind of bored of being in a club. There was something that was missing to keep me in there. And so I was like off and on a lot of clubs like that for a while. Jeff in New Hampshire. Right now, there are new amateur radio operators getting licensed at rates that haven't been seen for a long time. People are seeking new old ways to connect with others. It's really great to see. Cool. Mike, WDX50 was very cool when I could submit a radio catch that was rare and then see others getting submitting the same station next month. It was nice to have that aspect of sharing. Yep. Lots of interesting stuff in there. We would all share the big DX. The big DX at the time. Oh, God. John Beckham, I feel as though shortwave radio was its best from 60s to the 90s. Look, anybody that listened to shortwave in that period of time will tell you how amazing it was, and it was amazing. Do I miss that period of time? Yes. I miss the fact that we could hear so many things back then that we just don't hear anymore. But that said, we have to do what's available and what's out there. And when I feel like doing radio, it's different, but I think I still have as much fun today as I did back then. But it's different, absolutely. Mike WDX50, remember submitting a Radio Lebanon catch and that I had not seen before, and then others were submitting the Radio Lebanon catches to the club bulletin. Yep. Device 9 used to listen for half an hour to hear a station ID, and then it would fade out or sign off just before the top of the hour. Oh, yeah. How many times we did that? Because that's the way we would do it in the past. It was like, hey, there's an English broadcast here. I never heard that on that frequency. And you'd spend an hour, and it's like, what the hell is that? And it would sign off or fade off, and it was like, I don't know what that was. It's, it's one of those things that it's just crazy. John Beckham, shortwave was so cool when QSR cars were in vogue. Yep. 2-1 now, says Tom DXer. That's why I'm not hearing anybody yell now. Thomas Olson, nice to have you on board. Dimitri, nice to have you on board. Do you trust eBay store to buy your next radio? I bought so many things on eBay that in general, yeah. You just have to choose the eBay seller that, is a known seller that sold a lot of stuff and has a good score. In general, it's okay. I mean, heck, 70% of the radios I got here probably come from eBay anyways. That's for sure. It's just that with COVID, things were a little complicated for a while. Hopefully they're kind of coming back to normal. Paul says, also realized just to design and print out a simple magazine in the 80s was a big deal. No PDFs or computer files. A lot of times you needed to go to offset printers, complex and expensive. Absolutely. That was, for club bulletins, that was the big thing, because not only did you go to the printer, but you had to have your magazine done in a certain format so that the printer could actually do it the way you want. And so you had to, shrink articles and play around with text and stuff. And I mean, man, that was, Sheldon Harvey talks about it from time to time. When the Messenger became a PDF, it's like, for him, it was amazingly cool because it was super complicated to make that bulletin and go to the printers every month. And then the postage and sending it out. It's absolutely. This is a music show on WRMI 5850 playing all Canadian music tonight. Cool. That is nice. WBCQ will have a Canada Day broadcast, by the way. Canada the BCQ. So it will air tomorrow, if you guys want to listen to. So it's the Canada Day D hyphen EH. It's on 6160 or 7490, and it will be tomorrow, 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's 02 to 03 UTC tomorrow. July 1st is Canada Day, and since RCI is no longer blessing shortwave listeners with its presence on shortwaves, Fred Waterer, a genuine Canadian, and Uncle Bill Tilford, an American who is frequently mistaken for one, will present Canada Day, an affectionate salute to the occasion with music, humor, fun facts, and stories on WBCQ The Planet, which is right next door to Canada, with time donated by Angela and Alan Wiener. So if you guys want to try that out, 02 to 03 UTC tomorrow. And that is on 6160 and 7490 kilohertz. So that's going to be I'm going to try to tune in tomorrow evening to check that out. Mike WDX50 says, bought an antenna handbook, wanted a rhombic antenna. Paul, Xerox or library copy machines were one way to go. I remember Radio Netherlands. Radio Netherlands had this set of really neat little booklets that you could order. That they had one about how shortwave propagates and works. One was about antennas for shortwave listeners. They had radio reviews. They had so much printed stuff. I think I ordered every printed thing they had when I was a teenager to read all of it. I was attracted to reading every single piece of literature about radio at that time. It was amazing. I wanted to read every page of every book that dealt with radio. I would go to the local library and read books on radio from the 1950s when they didn't have anything new to read about, because I enjoyed it so much. I still remember an old book from the 50s or the 60s in the library talking about how the French TSF radio system is like, oh man. Candy Claus. I never got into a club. I was always too much of an introvert to get involved in stuff like that. Well, I was never involved really. I was a member, but I was I was part of the invisible crowd. I was also very introvert back then. Probably why radio was something important and I had so much time with it, because I was in my little bubble, my little world, and I was listening to radio. It's much later in life that I became more extrovert like I am now, and being able to do this. If I would have been and stayed the way I was when I was 15 years old, I would never have dared to do something like I'm doing now. That would not have been an option. That would have been, are you crazy? I'm not putting my face there in front of the camera with people watching me. And So all the clubs that I was member of, I was the invisible member. That's pretty much the majority of a club. We talk about it with the messenger. There's like over 200 members now, which is much more than what it was a couple of years ago. And one of the things that shines out is that the majority of club members are invisible members. They're part of a club. There's something about it that they want to be part of. They want to have that bulletin, but they're not participants. They're just there in the background and enjoying whatever's coming out of the club. We say it all the time. Having people to participate in something is difficult because it's only a small amount of people that want to. And that amount of people is always the same. So it's like, when you do something, you all see the same names. If you've ever wondered why in the hobby we always see the same names, yeah, because that's the way it is. It's always the same people pretty much doing the same things. When something happens, it's always the same guys and girls, getting together to do it. It's pretty much the way it is. The majority of people are silent and don't really participate, don't really have any input. That's the way they feel safe and feel okay. And, that's what I was for a long time. I mean, man, the first time I met Sheldon was at a radio festival in Montreal. And I was like nervous to just say hello to somebody, just saying hi to someone at that event was like, okay. I'm pretty sure people were looking at me at the time and was like, oh, gee, what's that weird guy there? It's crazy. John Beckham, remember always listening to RAI, Radio Prague, Radio Switzerland, Radio Cologne, Radio Japan, BBC, Radio Moscow every night. Yep. There were so many things to North America. David, KJ4CMY just found his pennant from Springbok Radio in South Africa. Got to searching for more station swag. Man. Navid Farnham, is it possible to make a transmitter from telephone set? If you're talking about a smartphone, it's already a transmitter. Pretty much. Mike WX50 says, remembers Anarch was talked about a lot. Hadn't thought about them in a long time. Yeah, they had here, but I was too young and I didn't go. I would have loved to live through that today. There was an Anarch convention at the head office of the CBC here in Montreal back in 1982. And actually, Sheldon in his shack has the Anarch poster from that time that was over there. I was starting out. I remember hearing about it, thinking, wow, that must be cool to go through, but never did. I was just too shy. I didn't feel comfortable going at an event like that, especially at 13 years old. I was kind of just, I was too shy to go to anything like that. Took a long time before I actually participated at anything that was radio, honestly. Dimitri, I get my first radio, Grundig 800 Satellite Millennium, from a store called Radio City in Minnesota. They also sell hound stuff there. Cool. So, man, we had so much stuff back then, station pennants of all sorts and so on. The radios, when I was a teenager and my dad had radios, radios came in from a couple of sources. So, of course, Radio Shack was one. The Panasonic RFB 300, I remember my dad purchased at a store, an electronics store called Atlantic Electronic. That was an electronics store that would sell hi-fi systems and TVs. But they had a couple of shortwave sets. My dad came home with a Panasonic RFB 300 on night. A lot of them were from flea markets. My DX3R, my realistic DX302 came from a flea market. I remember. And there's another one which is a Panasonic RFB 2200. That also came from a flea market. Man, I so regret not having these today here. I really, really am sad that these radios are not part of my collection today. I should have kept them. The RF 2200 I sold because I needed money, and a guy gave me $75, and I said, "Yeah, okay." And the RFB 300. The sad story of that one is that so when my dad and my mom separated, my dad was alone. He didn't have anything, and he had purchased the RFB 300. So for me, it was like honest for me to give that radio back to him so he could listen to the radio. But now today, I'm thinking about it. It's like I should not have, for a very simple reason, or should have maybe just given him, because he was not listening to shortwave. Maybe I should have just traded in from an AM FM radio simply, because he moved, and where he moved, there was a break-in, and he lost a lot of stuff. And of course, that Panasonic RFB 300 got stolen from that break-in. And when I heard about that, I was like, nah, darn, I should have kept that radio. If it had to be stolen, I should have kept it. And I always regretted departing from these radios. Even the DX302, same thing. I sold it. Today I'm thinking about it. It's like, man, think of all these great, cool 80s radio you would have had today in your collection that I truly, truly miss. Honestly, truly miss. John Beckham says, I guess that we all bought the antenna package with 50 feet of copper wire insulations and so on. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Pretty much. Vicky Petsy, you're so a person without pretension and so natural that you are sympathetic. Yeah, I know. It's people are kind of drawn to me. I remember a couple of people talking to me. When I go to the karaoke bar, people tell me it's like you're kind of attract everybody. Everyone wants to talk to you, and I say, you know what? Because I'm just an ordinary guy that doesn't have any thoughts or any back thoughts about anybody, and that is just happy to say hi, and that's it. I I don't want to pretend to be better and than anyone, or anything. That's not the way I am. I just want to have fun with other people that like the same thing. That's pretty much it. I'm a very down to earth guy. I hope so. Maybe somebody out there is watching the channel and it's like, yeah, you nerd and you pretentious bastard. I'm sure there are some that are probably saying that. These are the ones that have the thumbs down. Shut up, you idiot. Yeah. The more you put thumbs down, the more I'm going to talk. Chas Tank. Now you're a well-known shortwave star and YouTube personality. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I'm small compared to a lot of YouTubers, but still pretty crazy when you think about it. Oh, man. Christian Marcoux, I lost hearing from my right ear. Left ear is weak. I'll be listening from headphones from now on. So great sounding speaker radio is no longer a want for me unless I want the whole town to hear it. Yeah, is there sorry to hear that. Christian Marcoux, with this new info, anything interesting and fun to tune SSB radio out there that pops out? Christian says, if not, PL330 seems right for me, despite that it has great audio I can't use. Thanks, you're a national treasure. There's a lot of stuff to tune around. I think you gotta, SSB, tune everywhere. Just put yourself in upper sideband for the most part. Just tune everywhere. You'll be surprised at all the signals and all the stuff that you hear. But aeronautical communications definitely want to try. The amateur bands definitely want to try. It might not always be interesting, but sometimes you'll hear that DX station or that station that you want to hear, What else do we have? Candy Claus. Yeah. Oh, man, just like they're just haters. Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it is. It's I think the more it's a reward of getting more popular. The more popular you go, the more you'll get haters at the same time. Some people are jealous. Some people are totally jealous of others' success or what they do in life. Keegan, KNPR in Las Vegas, Nevada, 1889. First FMDX E-skip. Wow. Pretty cool. Paul says, have to go. Take care. Great to hear you again. Only a week, but felt longer. You are very much appreciated. Well, take care, my friend Paul. Stay safe, and thank you for the Happy Canada Day. Chas, thanks. As I often wondered what it would be like to have a convention and meet your folks and sit around talking shop and having fun with you folks. Yeah, that'd be an interesting experience to create some kind of event and and meet you guys in person. We have this way of interacting. Some of you I've interacted more directly because of for example, the Winterfest virtual event this winter, the Zoom meetings on the CIDX. So we have a more direct interaction together, which is nice because I actually am able to put a face on you people, first of all, because a lot of you I don't have a face to match the name. Having a face is kind of cool, actually. And then having a one-on-one interaction is a different thing also. It's a more intense thing to be in front of the people that, a great example. Last year didn't happen because of COVID, but I've been for the past few years now hosting the live show live from the CIDX barbecue in Griffith Park. And of course, now there's an audience there. There are people there that attend that are watching what I'm doing. And it's a totally different experience. It's a little more stressful because people are actually there in front of you rather than just a chat room. You see their faces. You see They're looking at you in every word you're going to say. It's kind of interesting when you look at that. And one of the interesting aspects also of the live shows is how a lot more people than you think actually watch what you do, because you end up talking about a radio, end up talking about one personality or somebody that does reviews, or another guy that is in the radio hobby. And you end up having comments sent to you in email, for example, saying, well, yesterday you talked about me and blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to just say that, this is the reason why this is happening. And you're like, okay, people are watching. People that are the people that I sometimes talk about are actually also watching and want to correct stuff sometimes. It happened a few times with SDR Play. John, one of the guys at SDR Play, that came back to me in an email the next day of a live show saying, oh, yesterday you talked about our RSPDX and you were saying that this and that, and I just wanted to correct you. This is actually works in this way and so on. And they're like, well, okay. I mean, these people are actually watching you. And when you start having people like that watch your show and comment if you say something that might not be correct, you start thinking, well, for these guys to follow what you do and what you say, that means you have a certain importance in the hobby. Because I think these people realize, well, what he says has an impact, a lot of an impact on maybe sales of radios, on why this might be like this or that, or why somebody might not understand something. It's crazy. And it's something that I never thought of when I started this. This started as a very innocent, I'm going to post my favorite radio stuff online. It had no pretension of having live shows. When I started this channel, it was just, I love shortwave. Why not share my love of shortwave in videos? And it started, and I had more and more views. And then you have more interaction, more comments, and then how it happened, I don't know, but it happens that somebody says, well, it'd be fun to have some kind of live event. And then you start thinking, well, a live event could be cool, but then again, you never did any live events in your life. You've never showed your face live on the internet, really, pretty much. And you're like, okay, a live thing that people are going to watch. Do I want to do this? And one day I took my courage and was like, because when you never did it, that's the hardest part. When you never ever did it, when you never did a live show of any kind, and you tell everybody, hey guys, I'm going to do a live show on this date at this time. Well, you understand one thing is that you better do it, because if you don't do it, people are going to say, well, that guy doesn't do what he say. Then the other thing arrives is you wake up in the morning and it's like, so I really said that today will be a live show. Okay. That's interesting. And the first time I did it, I was nervous. I was like, what about if I don't know what to talk about? Or, like today, I came up and said, well, maybe I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'm sure you guys are like, yeah, sure. He doesn't know what you're talking about. He doesn't know what to talk about. He talks for 3 hours. And that always amazes me, by the way. It's like people are like, yeah, 3 hours in and you're all like 150 watching, and like 3 hours in and you guys are still interested in hearing my voice and what I have to say. And the first one, and it went well. I was nervous, but it went well. And I don't know how many people watched the first time. I don't think we were more than like 10 or 15 people watching. I don't think there were more than that. And and over the years, well, I had different live shows from different channels, and the only one that I kept now is here. This is a fun place for live shows. Actually, the interaction with you guys is great. Probably the best place for this, and it has to do with you guys also. I would not be doing this if it wasn't fun, and if you guys weren't, interacting in a fun way also. It's something that is both ways. But Jeff says dislikes means you're doing something right. Oh, I know, totally know. I totally know. So whoa. I went back in time about an hour. Let's go back in time. Go back in front to actual time. David wants everybody to come to my apartment this summer. Okay. I got a couch and a bed, so you better bring a lot of cushions because you're going to all be sleeping on the floor. Well, you could be, if it's beautiful, you'll be able to sleep in the backyard. That would work. So maybe a couple of tents would be okay for a night. But better have a hotel room is going to be better. Jason Francis, there are a couple of hams out there that I hear from time to time. I wish I could tell them, hey, I'm listening. Maybe one day I'll get that license. Well, when you start thinking like that you'd like to say hi to others, then that means you should get your license. Yes, you totally should get your license. The Vice 9 used to be on IRC in the 90s. Knew a lot of people via chat when we had in-person get-together. Way different. I remember when I went to IRC, any computer geek went to IRC. One of the things that IRC was for me was shortwave. And you could hashtag or create your own channels on IRC and leave it there and wait until people find it out and come in. I remember a couple of times doing a channel which was something like Shortwave Montreal or something like that, or SWL Montreal. And I remember once creating one, leaving it on for a while, and a couple of people jumped in. It's like, oh, you're listening to Shortwave and you're in Montreal and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting. John Beckham says, you're a great guy because you like cats. Cat people. Cat people. Jeff in New Hampshire. Having a face is cool. That's my tag tonight. Having a face is cool. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Man, IRC Internet Relay Chat. Actually, you guys remember when I did the first live show on Google Hangouts? There were no chat rooms there. It was on IRC. We were on the IRC board for the live chats. Pretty crazy. A ham and shortwave festival at Shulls. Yeah, I know, XN80X or Keegan. I know. Don't worry. Jason Francis, invitation accepted. John Beckham, RSVP, you're welcome. Tom Dennison, is it possible? Oops. Let me just find the place where I was. Is it possible to get BBC World Service in Ottawa at this time of day? Love the show. So on shortwave, this is not the time for BBC. Unfortunately, the focus of the BBC at this time is more Middle East and Asia. So not many frequencies are available now. But that said, if you are a late night guy, one of the frequencies that, oh, look at that, the EIBI schedules have been updated today, 30th of June. So hey, you guys, update your frequency lists. At 1 in the morning, 0500 UT, there's the BBC from 05 to 07 UT to West Africa from Ascension Islands on 6005. That one is a pretty good signal up here. So it should make it to Ottawa. 50, let me check if they still use that one too. Yeah, 5875. No, that one is not a good one. It's not used for English. So 6005 could be a good one. 9915, if I'm not mistaken, 9915. 04 to 05, sometimes from Madagascar makes it up here. You could try that one. That's midnight in an hour and 20 minutes from now. But at 1 in the morning, 6005 does come in well. The BBC frequencies that come in fairly well here, if you don't have a lot of noise, because noise is the thing. If you don't have a lot of noise, in the afternoon, 15400, 11810, 12095, all three of these starting at, 18, 19 UT, actually pack a good enough signal to be easily listenable. And when I go to the D expeditions, if I go to Perry Island, I'll hear them really easily. I can listen to the BBC, like, even if the signal isn't that great, the low noise makes it super easy to listen to them. And it's sad because if it wasn't for that noise, the BBC would still have quite a few time slots that are pretty good to North America, especially the East Coast. The West Coast, it's a different story. But, we do miss the BBC from the good old days, 5975, still remember. Dennis, if you bring beer, I'll bring the catnip. Yarabamba, happy Canada Day. Sad to hear that. Radio Canada International, which suspended shortwave broadcasting a long time ago, now plans to end the international online service too. Yeah, that is a big mess and a big CBC controversy of RCI being destroyed. This is the end of what the CBC started, which was, I want this thing to be out of here as fast as possible. Definitely there was bad intent from the start, and it's still there. And you know what? One of the reasons also is that if they get rid of that, they can take that money and pour it into their own local CBC outlet here in Canada. And I got to say, if there's something about the CBC that I would probably rant at, is say that they were major bad players with Radio Canada International. They made sure that the Sackville transmitter side be destroyed as fast as possible so that they don't have to go back on the air. That was their intention, and they worked for that. They wanted that to disappear, and it's very unfortunate, honestly. Very unfortunate. Chastang, backyard campfire with on-build antennas. Well, I don't think you're going to have a campfire here in my backyard unless you want to have the cops and the fire department. Unless you do it in my barbecue. A little barbecue campfire. Jerry DX, going to crash under the antenna farm. Guaranteed to get good reception. Jason says you might have to compete with Paul for best sleeping spot at Jill's place. Yes, actually, he's such a nice cat that anyone that like pets him a little bit and all of that, you're probably going to be able to steal Paul the cat for the night because he's going to want to sleep with you guys instead of me. Oh, man. God. FNet. Yeah, Kemexi 76. Oh, I know. A lot of people still use IRC and all that. There's still a lot of people. Pretty crazy. Well, it is in UTC time, Jerry, because it's the Canada Day contest. We could see all the stations on 40 meters here. There was some on 20. So it's already Canada Day. And I had my sparkling wine for it, too. Celebrating Canada Day. Maybe another sparkling wine this weekend to celebrate the 4th of July. How about that? Paul likes both, but he does prefer wet food over dry food. But he likes both, John. He likes mostly things that are from the sea. So like, salmon, seafood, stuff like that. He doesn't like the chicken or the beef stuff. Jerry DX, nice flaming Ibashi would look nice to commemorate the official short stock. So what happened last night? Well, I had a bunch of guys over and they actually were able to build a big enough fire to burn off my antennas. We'll spread some we'll spread some fluid on that W6LVP loop and have a fire loop in the backyard. Expensive fire loop. How about we end with a few little signals and a few little things from the past? You guys would like that? Would you like to hear a little bit of the past? Should we do this or not? I hope that it's not gonna create too much stuff on the stream or too much problems, but okay, you. It's so funny because this computer that I'm using for streaming, I reformatted completely from scratch. And I was just surprised. That I just typed not W, W, yeah. I just typed a Y, and it's like, how come it doesn't complete YouTube? Oh, yeah, it's a brand new install. Oh, God. So, okay, some of you seem to want to have. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go back in time and see what are we going. Allow notifications. No, block. Okay. Here is Radio Peking, which is what really was truly Chinese radio, from 1968. How about that? Radio Peking, and this is from 1968. That really sounds shortwave at the time. It does. Sound very martial. Let's walk to the leaders.
This is Radio Peking.
This is Radio Peking.
Radio Peking, and they sounded Chinese, speaking English, where today China Radio International sounds like two Americans speaking English in a Chinese radio station.
This is Radio Peking.
This is Radio Peking.
Amazing how it sounds and how it brings you back to what shortwave was for anyone that listened for a long time. So Radio Peking from 1968, guys.
This is Radio Peking. Television. We begin our program with a quotation from Chairman Mao Zedong.
Chairman Mao Zedong.
Our great leader, Chairman Mao, has said, make trouble, fail, make trouble again, all again, over soon. That is the logic of the imperialists and all reactionaries the world over in dealing with the people's cause. And they will never go against this logic.
This passage is quoted from a commentary Chairman Mao Zedong wrote for the Xinhua News Agency in 1949 on the U.S. State Department's white paper on Sino-U.S. relations. We now repeat the quotation.
We now repeat the quotation of the big leader. That, you know what? Look at how different China radio sounds today. When you listen to this, it's like listening to Voice of Korea from North Korea today. It's exactly the same broadcast that you'll hear here. This is like Voice of Korea. Listen to what China Radio International became today. It's nuts how it's not the same thing at all. And of course, nobody inside China hears China Radio International. They talk about stuff that even people in China never know about, you know? This is crazy. Radio. What else do we have here? Okay, here's Radio Moscow with the Moscow mailbag from August of 1979.
This is your program, Moscow Mailbag.
Oh, man.
And here is Joe Adamoff to answer your question.
Oh, man.
Dan Gendron of West Warwick, Rhode Island. Now that there is so much bad-mouthing about the combat troops in Cuba, and some people on Capitol Hill are saying they will withhold their ratification of SALT II, what will the leaders of the USSR do if these threats are carried out?
Well, first of all, one might think that the United States does not need peace, or that the Soviet Union needs peace much more than the United States does. You see, I'm saying this because we constantly hear that the Senate might not ratify SALT II, first for one reason, then for another reason, then for a third reason. you get the impression that somebody thinks they're doing us a favor by ratifying SALT II. One prominent American politician told me, "You have to understand this." He said, "This is part of our electioneering." Well, I want to ask, does electioneering come before the destiny of peace? What is more important, electioneering or
The
peace?
destiny of peace, guys.
Now you ask, what?
Do you realize you Americans don't want the destiny of peace?
It not being ratified. I believe in the sanity of your great nation.
Oh, the sanity.
If it is not ratified,
The sanity.
why, there'll be a new spiral to the arms race. The danger of a world holocaust breaking out will be greater. We might slip back to the period of the Cold War. Don't forget this.
It was the Cold War.
It took 7 years to work out in greatest detail. It takes a lot of time to start working on another or a new treaty. We can't spare all those years all over again.
It is interesting
What will happen? Our leaders will naturally
to
see to it that the balance of forces which exist today,
hear the
parity
past.
of forces, is
Of
not
course,
upset
hear
in
the-
favor
the
of the
Soviet
United States or NATO.
take on
That's
the past
what,
also,
That's what
but
they'll have to do if it is
Man.
not signed.
Bill Behe of Altoona, Pennsylvania. Why is most of Russia a God-hating country?
We're not a God-hating country. We are atheists, yes, because our philosophy of dialectical materialism is an atheistic philosophy. We respect the beliefs of believers, whatever their faith.
yeah, right.
Just like I think believers should respect the beliefs, the philosophy of atheists.
Man.
If we are atheists, it does not mean that we're some sort of monsters, you know. After all,
That is so interesting to hear the rhetoric and the. Oh man, this is great. This is great. Anything else here? Let's check it out here. What else can we play? How about? No. If how about this? Anything here interesting to play with this one? This is last English shortwave broadcasts of Swiss Radio International. Oh, that's so sad. What else do we have? I want to go out an old one. Shortwave radio, Switzerland, 1968. Now that's what I want. Switzerland, 1968.
This is Switzerland calling North America. We begin our transmission in English with the Swiss watch giving you the exact time. At the last signal, it will be 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
What is it? On a can? Tick, 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 tick.
8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1:30 hours Greenwich Mean Time. This is the overseas service of the Swiss Broadcasting Corporation, calling from Bern, Switzerland.
Hello everyone. It's time for another daily program in English from SBC. But before I tell you what we're planning to listen this Sunday, let me just give you the frequencies and wavelengths. 9,535 kilohertz, 31.46 meters. 11,715 kilohertz, 25.61 meters, and 15,300.
What if we send a reception report to this with one of those frequencies saying that I heard you in 1968 on those frequencies? Would we have something back?
First of all, there's the news. After this, we continue with another edition of your Swiss Sunday Special. It starts off with Bells of Switzerland, introducing our weekly religious talk in Hessian. Then you can join your two musical musketeers aboard the Melody Train to some more listeners' requests and answers to your letters from the SCC mailbag. And finally, after our programs in English, we continue in Swiss German with Pizza Spiegel. We do hope that you'll enjoy our program, and I'd like to wish you all good listening.
This is Switzerland reporting world news.
Wow. Okay. This is Radio Berlin International from, I don't know exactly what year that it is. Radio Berlin International, East Germany.
That newscast comes to you from Radio Berlin.
Oh, June 2nd, 1989.
German Democratic Republic. The General Secretary of the Women's International Democratic Federation, Miriam Tuominen, has demanded the immediate quashing of death sentences against 14 black South Africans. The 14, who belong to the group of the Uppington 25, should be released immediately and unconditionally.
Take care, Jeff.
Like all other political prisoners were threatened with death sentences, she said in an interview for GDR Radio. Millions of women all over the world are highly indignant at the state terrorism and the crimes by the ruling minority in South Africa, Miri Tuominen added. The Israeli occupation authorities,
Yeah, a couple of years before the wall,
have begun to issue identity cards to the Palestinians working in Israel. At the moment, 50,000 Arabs are affected. These measures are to be extended step by step to the other occupied territories. The introduction of identity cards has been condemned both abroad and in Israel as racist and discriminatory, and parallels have been drawn to Nazi practices against the Jews. In conclusion of the fourth session of their joint commission in Paris, France and the GDR...
You know, these recordings are truly
cooperation until 1991.
Truly a part of history.
Both sides voiced their conviction that the new program will further promote friendly and
Montreal lost again.
In the spirit of the Helsinki Final Act.
I knew it because I didn't hear any yelling. That means it didn't go well.
Take place in the GDR in commemoration of the French Revolution 200 years ago. United States Vice President Dan Quayle has announced that he will use his upcoming visit to Central America to back the new Salvadoran state leader Alfredo Cristiani. A spokesman in Washington said that the countries of the region should be encouraged to exercise more pressure on Panama. The Vice President will be visiting Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Costa Rica. He's not planning to visit Nicaragua, but will meet leaders of the Contras operating against that country. You are listening to the news from Radio Berlin International, the voice of the German Democratic Republic. The Budget and Finance Committee of the GDR Parliament, the Volkskammer, today discussed the budgetary account for the 1988 fiscal year, which will be submitted to the Volkskammer plenary meeting on June.
Okay, so there was, if you guys remember, So Radio Bulgaria, when they ended, when they were in the communist era, when Bulgaria was in the communist state, the station was called Radio Sofia rather than Radio Bulgaria. So this is Radio Sofia, Bulgaria, May 26th, 1989.
Second day was even more dynamic and polemical. It can be said that with the help of television, the entire country took part in the open opposition of opinions on questions which now concern everyone. The opinion is unanimous that the election of Mikhail Gorbachev to the post of President of the USSR Supreme Soviet is a recognition of his personal prestige and his merits in the process of restructuring. This is the highest ranking official.
Radio Prague from the past, John Beckham.
He has the right to represent it inside the country and in international relations. Friday's discussion centered on the election of the first Supreme Soviet in the country and on the
Stanley Cup party here.
new body.
I'll bring the Yabashi.
In the ceremony in Salonika, a special diploma was awarded to Mikhail Gorbachev by the international public organization Lions Club. This award has been bestowed on the Soviet leader for his great contribution to peace and international cooperation. The same diploma has been awarded to the ex-president of the United States, Ronald Reagan. The Soviet Union is prepared jointly with the United States to work towards an agreement on a 50% reduction of strategic offensive weapons. This was stated at a news conference in Moscow by the leader.
So, Radio Prague, Czechoslovakia, from 1973. Oh wait, that's too short. Let's try to find a better one. Radio Prague, Czechoslovakia. Wait. English service signing on with signature tune. 1974. So, this is... It's some Morse code in it and everything. That sounds 70s shortwave radio.
This is Radio Prague, Czechoslovakia. Service of Radio Prague, Czechoslovakia is on the air for you several times daily. There are 2 half-hour broadcasts starting at 7:30 and 8:30 hours Greenwich Mean Time, respectively, and coming to you in the 25, 19, and 13 meter bands. In the same meter bands, we broadcast another half-hour transmission starting at 9 hours Greenwich. And this half-hour transmission is extended to 55 minutes every Saturday and Sunday. Then there is yet another daily half-hour broadcast.
Radio Bucharest. So Radio Romania, that still today is, and I'm thankful for that, for them to keeping that up. Radio Romania is still available today. It's still there. And it's nice to see that they kept shortwave. Somebody there has a good sense of, let's keep this going. But in the communist era, Radio Romania was called Radio Bucharest. So here's Radio Bucharest, English program signing on from 1974. So, and here's another one. Radio Bucharest, May 31st, 1989. Okay. Let's try 1989 out of curiosity.
Socialist Society in Romania. According to a study drawn up by the World Watch Institute, in the first half of the 80s, the military spendings in the industrial countries went up twice faster than the economic growth rate. For instance, over 1980-1985, the growth rate of military expenditures in those countries was 5.7%, and that of the gross social product only 2.2%. One of the authors of the study said that the next generation would consider the illusion that national security can be maintained through the force of arms as a historic error.
John Beckham, only birds, or with a tune in it?
Of the Congress of the People's Deputies of the Soviet Union. On Tuesday morning, the President of the Supreme Soviet, Mikhail Gorbachev, tabled the report on the main guidelines of the domestic and foreign policy of the Soviet Union.
Oh, it's possible, Candy Glass. They might have not switched immediately. So sometimes some had a little bit of time, like Radio Moscow. Radio Moscow kept Radio Moscow after the fall of Berlin Wall for a while before they actually changed to Voice of Russia.
Has come to an end in Brussels. The heads of state and government of the member countries finally reached a compromise formula with the global concept regarding the priorities of the North Atlantic.
And where was the interval signal of Radio Bucharest? Radio Bucharest was... Let me just go here because I want to hear the Radio Bucharest interval signal. Oh, God. That was the interval signal of Radio Bucharest. That sounds a little more like Radio Romania today.
This program is coming to you from Radio Bucharest, Romania.
Radio Bucharest, Romania.
We are very pleased to welcome you, the listeners of this second broadcast of the day, transmitted over Radio Bucharest. This program...
I'm listening to this voice, and I'm thinking that the guy from Radio Romania today is that guy, but with a voice of an older man of 2021.
On 15250-1190.
So you guys want to have birds? Let's have birds. So one of the birds is this station out of Italy. RAI Italy. So RAI Italy, shortwave. And do I have that here? Italian Broadcasting Corporation. RAI Italy. Huh. Interval signal. Don't see much happening here. RAI Radio 1. These are European interval signals. I would guess that there is somewhere, but hey, let's have one. It's Canada Day, guys. How about a little?
Radio Canada International.
Radio Canada International.
Radio Canada International.
Radio Canada International.
Radio.
I can't find RAI, but here is Radio RSA from 1989. How about that? Radio RSA from 1989. Oh boy. That brings me back to my teenage years, totally. Bonne nuit, Christian. Take care, my friend. Stay safe.
You are tuned to the English service of Radio RSA, the voice of South Africa in Johannesburg.
Oh, man. Thanks, Kimberly. Got my sparkling wine for Canada Day. Fais attention à toi, Christian. Et à samedi, possiblement.
The time is 2 hours Universal Time. This is Radio RSA, the voice of South Africa, broadcasting from Johannesburg, and we're transmitting to the United States of America and to Canada. And we're broadcasting on 9580 kilohertz in the 31 meter band, 9615 kilohertz also in the 31
I got several
band,
QSLs from 9615.
6010 kilohertz in the 49 meter band. In our transmission, the news, followed by editorial comment, then our news magazine.
Oh, man. So here we have Radio Sweden English service signing on 1974.
This is Radio Sweden.
Oh, that I don't remember.
Hier ist Radio Schweden.
I don't remember that interval signal. That's too old. It was probably before my time. At my time, the interval signal of Radio Sweden was this.
Radio Sverige, Stockholm.
Radio Sweden, Stockholm.
Radio Szwecja, Stockholm.
I remember Radio Sweden I loved.
Radio Suecia, Estocolmo.
Here's Radio Norway International, which had English only on Sunday, if you guys remember well. Oh, man. That brings you to a nostalgia place, eh? It's crazy. Radio Norway. Oh, man. I had a thing about Nordic countries, something about it that was like, listening to Nordic countries on shortwave. So, hey guys, I will be signing off after 3 hours and 20 minutes. It's kind of cool. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. We're going to end with our interval signal of choice, which is Moscow Nights. Hope that you enjoyed. Go and tune the amateur stations from Radio Amateurs of Canada. Search for the RAC stations, particularly Canada Day contest on the ham bands. It's time to listen to Canada. Maybe not Radio Canada International, but it's Canada on the different ham bands until 23:59 UTC. And I want to say thanks to everybody. Stream went well. I'm happy because this is a new setup. It's a mini PC over there that's streaming. It's going to be dedicated for that and only that. While this new mini PC here, much more powerful, is going to do a lot more stuff here. And my laptop, gaming laptop, is going to be used for finding stuff on the internet and so on. And I think it's going to be more, for me, better to do it in this fashion. So take care, everybody. Stay safe. And happy Canada Day to everyone out there. Take care, guys. Yes, Kimberly, you can participate in the contest if you want with your US call. Absolutely, they'll be happy.